Hello and welcome to another U10 mini lesson where I attempt to explain, expand, bring clarity, or just any other general knowledge to something drumming related or music related, but mostly focused on drumming. As always, these are one take wonders, so if anything happens, it happens. Quick editorial note, it's getting darker right now, so I have a light projected, that's why it's brighter than usual, that's why I'm not going to look in this direction, because it's really, really bright. Today's lesson is going to be on eighth note time signature counting. And the reason why I want to do eighth note time signature counting is because I want to kind of broaden your horizons on certain kinds of time signatures and counting. Also, because we have in our addition piece or addition packet, we have something with eighth notes. And I know that if it's not 4/4 for people, or if it's not 2/4 for people, it can get really confusing. So, first thing we're going to do is look at, and if you'll notice up here, 4/4 equals 8/8. And what that means, if you'll remember back to the time signature thing we did, all time signatures are done in fractions, right? Awesome. The top number is actually the second number you really want to look at. You can look at either way. The way I'm going to explain this is the bottom number is the kind of note you have. So if it's 1, that means it's a whole note. If it's 2 on the bottom, that means you're going off half note, or yeah, whole notes for 1, half notes for 2. For 4, that means it's quarter notes. So if I have something that says 1 down here and I have 4 up here, like this one, that would mean there are 4 whole notes in a measure, which is ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. I don't know why you do that, but you could. 4/4 means there are 4 quarter notes. 1/1 would be 1 whole note. 2/2 would be 2 half notes, or as we've talked about before, how Star Wars the main theme is conducted. 4/4 is 4 quarter notes or common time. 8/8 is 8/8 notes. 16/16 is 16/16 notes. Now I could make it 11/16 notes, 15/16 notes. I've played pieces that have that exact thing in there. It's actually Water Breaks by Michigan. We had to turn the met off to make sure afterward, during that measure, to make sure, or those measures, to make sure we could still keep counting once those measures were done and we went back to normal counting. It gets really weird. You could also do, as the rest of the chart shows, different sets of eights. So if I have 5/8, that means there are 5/8 notes in this measure. Pretty cool. So the best way to count this is we're going to count it as, we're going to for a second bring it down to its lowest common denominator, I believe is the phrase. It's been a while since I've done this kind of math. I do math every day, kids. You can have to do math after you graduate, just saying. But for this kind of math especially, 1/4, so that would be 1 and, right? 1 and. 1, 2. So for 8 notes, we're going to count this as 1, 2, and then for 3/8, because we can't make it lower, simplifying fractions, wow, simplifying fractions, 1, 2, 3, you count as that, or 1 and 2, and then for 4/8 or 2/4, you could count as that way. We're going to keep it in eighths right now. A few years ago, I wrote part of the drumline feature in 8/8 just to mess with you guys. It worked. I mean, you guys caught it. It didn't work to mess with you guys. You guys are smart enough to catch on because you're smart, right? You're smart. So I'll count the first few measures out to make sure we're on the same thing. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, or 1 and 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1 and 1 and 2, 1. Now because there's not another eighth note there, I didn't count the and of 2. I hope you can see me over here, hopefully. Now the only other thing I'll say before I play is we talked about triplets with 6/8. 6/8 notes in this style. The reason I wrote it 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 is to make sure you understand it's not 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's not a triplet measure. It's straight 8 notes. So everything here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and like it's not 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. The other thing down here, remember that because I tried to get them all a different way. Any note you see with one bridge, as I like to call them, these ones aren't connected right down here. But if it's one bridge, it means it's an eighth note. No matter if it's written like this, like that, or all the way across. All of these are eighth notes. You could read this as 1 and 2 and, 1 and 2 and, 1 and 2 and. If there are two bridges involved, they are guaranteed 16 notes. If there are no bridges involved, they're probably quarter notes. So, now that that's over with, I'm going to play this without a metronome first. Play along if you'd like. Listen the first time. Play along. Here we go. I'm going to accent the downbeat of each measure to make sure we're on the same measure as we go. The other thing, once we hit 8/8, take it down yourself. Take it down 7/8, 6/8, 5/8, 4/8, 3/8, 2/8. We're not going to play 1/8 because 1/8 is literally just, that's all it is. So I'll start at 2/8. I'll do without a metronome once, and then I'll add the metronome in. So here we go. Alright, so the issue is at the very end. It's a trick a lot of people fall into when they're trying to learn how to count these kinds of things. 7 is a 2-syllable, that's what we're going for, not decibel, syllable word. Everything else on here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those are all 1 syllables. 7 is 2. And the trick is making sure you don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. You don't want to push the 7 to the next beat, which can happen. So sometimes people will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Some people will try to cram 7 into 7. Some people will say sev. Some people will just 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 1. However you want to do it, that works fine. So I'm going to turn on my metronome. I'm going to start at 100. So play with me. I'll accent the first note. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. Alright? So, the metronome in that thing, I forgot to mention, was going to have an 8th note value. And what that means is, as I did, every time it clicked, I would hit an 8th note. So, that metronome value was 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. When we say the value of it, so the metronome is at an 8th note, that means we're ticking at 1 and 1 and 1 and 2 and. If it's a quarter note, 1, 2, 1, 2, or subdivide, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. That's all. So I'll do it one more time. We're doing the 8th note value of these. So every time that clicks, I'm going to hit an 8 for an 8th note. Alright? 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. Now I like to play the next downbeat. That's why I generally will always add an extra note, just to make sure that you know where the next downbeat is. I'm going to now make this the quarter note, so this, every other note will be correct on the beat. We're going to literally double the speed. So I'm still at 100 beats per minute, but I'm now at 100 beats per minute in a quarter note, meaning these have become half of that. So stay with me here. I'm not going to count out the first time, but I'll still accent it. Alright, so one more time I'll do it. This time I'll count. 1, 2, ready. So 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. We did not end on the downbeat for that. That's okay. It just is. If I were to start with 1/8, we you would. That's alright. If you want to end on that note with the metronome, that's fine. It actually sometimes helps to know that you're ending on the upbeat while playing 8th notes. So I'm going to go a little bit faster, 120, which is cadence tempo. A lot of things I do, I try to do around between 100, I try to start at 80, 100, and then it ended 120 because cadence tempo is 120, and we should be pretty good at that tempo for cadence. So 8th notes first, 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. Okay, now let's double that. That will now be quarter notes, and this will still be 8th notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, 1, 1 and 2 and ready and go and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. All right, so I still done on the upbeat, which is a huge plus. That means I was doing it right. Come on, work. There we go. Awesome. So I'm still doing it well. The last thing I'll say about this, because people like to look at the wrong things first. Don't worry about the time signature. Never worry about it. Think about it. But don't freak out if you see a really weird time signature. Look at the tempos. I've seen pieces of music, specifically at Michigan, for drumline, that have been 16th notes. And you're like, because they've been all right hand. So just a full measure of 16th notes, left hand and right hand. And you're like, why? And then you look at the time signature, you look at the tempo, and you see it's slow. It's 88. It wasn't actually that bad. So don't ever worry about the counting time signature. Focus more on the tempo, because I could write 16 notes, which are 16 notes per measure, generally fast, but I could write that at 80, or I'll write at 90, and 1E and a 2E and a... Alright, or I could write 8th notes at 200. And that would automatically be faster than your 16 notes at 90. So, da 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 da. Alright. Don't worry so much about this before you look at the tempo. The other thing is, I'll say at DCI level, at college level, you're still pretty good for like everything because marching. DCI level though, they'll throw in things you've never seen. Well, you have, but they'll throw them in ways that you're going, what? And a lot of it is you might have between conducting, or they'll figure out a way to conduct it. There's a lot of things in there that you would never expect to see. Just a side note, you don't have to know that. I will do this one time because I think it's fun. I'm not going to play it, but this is so I googled this metronome. I literally typed into Google metronome, and it popped up with this. So I'm just going to count this out using this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. So if I can do it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1. Oh, I did 9. Oh. 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. I was on the upbeat. I'll do one more time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. I was on the upbeat. So that was pretty good. Alright. So that's how to count in 8th notes, or 8/8, or anytime you see a time signature that has 8 on the bottom. If you have any more questions about this, because I know it can be kind of confusing sometimes, please let me know. And to quote the man who makes our sticks, Scott Johnson, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. And I'll see you next time. Bye.